Hey folks, thanks for joining us for the Daily Dose today. This week we've been talking all about who needs Christmas. And I was thinking about that question, and I was reading a couple of passages today, and I noticed there is a pattern that begins with the Christmas story, and it seems to go on and on and on as we read through the stories of Jesus' life. I want to give you an example and see if you catch on. In the Christmas story, when Matthew tells the story of Christmas, he has Joseph in mind. And an angel comes to Joseph and says that his wife is pregnant. And then the angel says this to Joseph. In Matthew chapter 1, verse 20, listen to this. But just when he had resolved to do this, to leave Mary, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. Now listen to this, and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife. What's interesting is in the book of Luke, when Luke tells the story of Christmas, the angel appears to Mary, and this is what happens. The angel said to her, to Mary, do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And then you might remember out in the field, there were these shepherds, and angels then appeared to those shepherds. And that's when we hear these words. It says, but the angel said to them, to these shepherds, do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all people. It's interesting. There's a pattern. When the angel appeared to Zechariah, the husband of Elizabeth, when they found out that they were pregnant with John the Baptist, the angel said, do not be afraid. Or when Jesus, he calls the disciples, he says to them, guys, don't be afraid, for from now on, you're going to be fishing for people. Or how about this? When the disciples are out in the boat and Jesus comes or is asleep in the boat and the storm comes up, Jesus wakes up and the first thing he says to them is, do not be afraid. Or Jesus sees the fishermen out in their boat, and one time he walks out on water and they're terrified and he says, do not be afraid. All the way to the very end of Jesus' life, there's this pattern. Even at the tomb, the women go to the empty tomb, and when they get there, the body is gone. But do you remember what happens? The angel says, do not be afraid. Again and again, there's this pattern. Do not be afraid. But here's the thing. When I think about the do nots in my life, the times when I've been told do not, they usually seem like a command. Like when we're kids and our parents say, do not play in the street. Do not run with scissors. Do not pick on your sibling. Do not write on the wall. Right? We've all been there. It always seems like it's a command. But here's what I've come to find. Like, you can't will away fear. Like, you can't just tell yourself, I'm not going to be afraid, and then be done with it. I mean, think about, if you're at all like me, there are some things I'm afraid of. Roller coasters? I remember as a kid standing in line, I couldn't just say to myself, don't be afraid. And it's gone, right? Haunted houses, right? Being scared of the dark or being scared of snakes, right? I couldn't just say, don't be afraid, and have it sort of willed away. When we're afraid, we can't will ourselves away from being afraid. And it's also true with the more real things of our lives. I mean, I think about my life. I certainly get anxious sometimes when I have to make some parenting decisions. When I'm a little nervous for my kids, I can't just say, do not be afraid, and it's gone. Or when we have big decisions to make here at the church, I can't just say, do not be afraid, and there it goes. Or when I think about the fear I have for my father's health, or I think about the big issues that we've had to face as a church along the way, I can't just say, well, don't be anxious, don't be afraid, and it's gone. You can't will anxiety and fear away. But I think I'm starting to understand a little bit more the older I get about what Jesus meant, what those angels meant when they said, do not be afraid. Because though I can't will away my fears, and you can't either, what I've found is I can share them. I can share my anxiety. I can share my fears. And when I do, man, does it lighten the load. When I find myself nervous, afraid, anxious, I can call a friend. I can reach out to a mentor. I can find someone who has more experience, more expertise than I do, and ask them for advice. I can talk to a trusted confidant. I can talk with a counselor. I can phone a friend, if you will. And when I do that, they share my fear, and it lightens the load. You see, at the heart of the Christmas message is that message, do not be afraid. And I don't think that the authors were ever telling us that there aren't things in this world that we should be afraid of, because there are certainly things in our lives that we should fear. But I think the heart of the Christmas message, that message, do not be afraid, was meant to teach us that we don't need to carry the load alone. When Jesus came into this world, they gave him another name, and it was Emmanuel, which means God with us. God came to lighten the load so that people like you would know that we don't have to carry those fears and anxieties all by ourselves, but we always have a God who's there alongside us. Who needs Christmas? We do, folks. We do. Folks, I'm so glad you chose to tune in today. If you're watching on Facebook, would you share? Would you like this post? If you're watching on YouTube, you can share the link. If you're watching on cable access, invite a friend to watch tomorrow. And maybe most importantly, I want you to know we are so excited to celebrate Christmas with you. It is this unusual year like no other. We prepared a website for you we'd love for you to check out, christmaswithcalvary.com. And there you'll find all the ways that you can plan to celebrate Christmas at home with your church family. Folks, have a great night and Merry Christmas.
Even though I walk through the valley, you are near. And even though I